My dear friends, welcome to Rajashekhar classes on applied data science with Python. This is lecture number 536. In this lecture, we will try to understand multi-layer perceptron. So, since we have seen what a perceptron is a very simplified model of a single neuron. We know that the perceptron is very similar to logistic regression in some ways. It is related to logistic regression. We saw it diagrammatically in previous video. So we know that logistic regression is very interesting and certainly very powerful technique, and we studied that in full detailed manner. Now what is the extension to this? So the people said, how do a single neuron looks like? We have a bunch of inputs. Just what are the inputs here? xi1, xi2, so on, xid. You have an output. What is my output? Yi cap. You have your yi cap here. You have inputs xi1, xi2, so on, xid. So this is what a simple perceptron. There is a function here. If it is sigmoid function, you get logistic regression. There is an activation function which is here. If it is simple perceptron thresholding function, you will get a perceptron. It is a single neuron model. People said, instead of a single neuron, what if I have connected neurons or network of neurons? Imagine if these are xi1, xi2, xi3, xi4 are my inputs. People said, what if instead of single neuron, if I have multiple neurons here? People said, what if these inputs, which inputs? For example, if these inputs means, let me say like this, yes, this input go to first neuron, this input go to first neuron, this input will go to first neuron, this input will go to first neuron. In similar manner, isn't it? All the inputs are going to first neuron. In similar manner, all the inputs will go to second neuron. Isn't it? All the inputs will go to second neuron. In similar manner, all the inputs will go to third neuron. Like this. All the inputs will go to third neuron. Isn't it? What happens? Similarly, each of these neurons, similarly, each of these neurons go to which one? This one. There is another set of neurons. Let me assume from here, from this neuron to, I have connections like this. Yes, from this neuron to this neuron, this neuron to this neuron. In similar manner, I am also connecting neurons like this. How am I connecting? Just see. Yes, we completed for this neuron. Again, this one. Isn't it? Now, what's happening here? What is your input layer? What is my input layer? Just let me show. Yes, this is another neuron, of course. Similarly, I am connecting to this neuron, and your yi cap is your output. Let's assume the outputs of these neurons, yes, outputs of these neurons, for example, outputs of these neurons connected to another neuron, isn't it? See, all these connected to other neurons. See, all the edges here are going forward, isn't it? All the edges are there are no edges that are backward. All the edges directed forward. All edges are forward edges. Now let's say output of these neurons we connected to, yes, what is this output of this neurons is connected to other neuron, isn't it? What is my output? Yi cap. So this is called a neural network, isn't it? Because we have a network of neurons, isn't it? Yes, we have a network of neurons. This is one neuron, this is one neuron, another neuron. We connected all these neurons, isn't it? This is called a neural network because we have network of neurons here. This is called in this network of neurons, what is your input layer? This is your input layer, isn't it? This is this one is input layer, xi1, xi2, xi3, xi4. This is called as input layer. What is your output? This yi cap is your output, and layers is called this layer. This is output layer, isn't it? Just let me show you. Yes, that yi cap is output, and this particular one is output layer, isn't it? And now these layers, which are the layers which are in between input and output, are called hidden layers, as they are hidden between input and output. In a simple perceptron, you basically have an input layer and output layer. Nothing, for example, if I take this is simple neuron, I have input layer and an output layer, nothing else in between, isn't it? Yes, this one is what is this? Let me write. This one is y cap. This is what is this? This is output layer, isn't it? This is output, isn't it? This one is input layer. There are no layers in between input layer and output layer. That's what we have seen in single perceptron. There are no hidden layers. I can say there are no hidden layers in a simple perceptron or in a single neuron model. If you try to represent a logistic regression as a neuron model, what do you have is you have simple input output without anything else in between. In a neural network, this is a neural network, isn't it? A neural network, which is also referred to as multi-layered perceptron, because there are multiple layers here, and each of this could be thought as here, each of this could be thought as perceptron. This is neural network or multi-layer perceptron. These are perceptrons. Just see, all these can be thought of like this is perceptron, this is perceptron, this is perceptron, this is perceptron. All these are perceptrons, isn't it? This could be thought as each of these could be thought as a perceptron. Again, there could be a function here, there could be a function f, there could be function here. These could be same function or different functions. There are functions being applied here. So these are called, which are called hidden layers. These are, we already discussed, these are called hidden layers. Which one? These are called hidden layers. This one, this entire one, this one, these are called hidden layers, isn't it? And for simplicity, let's call this is layer 1, this is layer 2, isn't it? No, and this is what is the output layer? This is output layer. And what is your output? You get the output. What is the output? Y cap. So this is the structure of simple multi-layered perceptron or neural network. Having learned this, the big question right now, the major question right now here is, why should we, this is important question, why should we care about multi-layered perceptrons? We know that we should care about simple model or single neuron model, because they are like logistic regression. We have seen logistic regression works fairly well. Is there any reason why should we care about networks of neurons like in a multi-layered perceptron? There are two arguments to that. First argument is biological inspiration. So when neurologists or neuroscientists in neuroscience, what people stated, dissecting brain of humans, rats and monkeys. Just say dissecting of human brain, monkey's brain, rat's brain. They realized that neurostructure within the brain are actually connection of networks, interconnecting interconnected all these neurons in very complex way. There are lots of neurons. There are millions and even billions of neurons. Just see here, there are 86 billions of neurons in human brain. Just I googled it. Just see number of neurons in human brain. There are 86 billions of neurons interconnected in very smart ways. Basic artificial neuron, basic perceptron was inspired by a biological neuron. They said, what if we can represent a neural structure, connected structure or network that exists in human brain or ant brain or monkey brain? So there was a biological inspiration that if a single neuron is powerful, and interconnected set of neurons must be very powerful. Now the big question is, how do you connect it and how do you make it work? That's the big question. It took almost decades of work, multiple decades of work to make this complex neural network and multi-layer perceptron to work. We will come to that later, but there is a biological inspiration we had. I will continue my discussion on multi-layer perceptron in my next lecture, that is in lecture number 537 also. Thank you very much.